Hello YouTube, this is MusicianNrd here, and today we're gonna be ranking all of the, well, most of the games I've played this year, and some other movies I've watched this year. With a few exceptions, like with, I don't know, like Okami and all the other games I played, only one. Some of them I didn't have any interest going back to because I wasn't a fan of the gameplay themselves. Without further ado, let's get right into the games first, because there's a lot compared to how many movies I've watched this year. Because there's like, what, 44 games and then like 7 movies I've watched. That's because I barely watch any new movies that came out recently. Most of the times I've watched these movies because of a friend of mine from my neighborhood who wanted to watch it with me. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I've watched it with them, and we were just like, some movies are good, some movies are just nah, as usual, as for nowadays, but whatever. First up on this list is Dead Space 1, and oh my lord, like what a strange way to start off this year by playing a horror game like around what, February or something? But I love Dead Space. Despite its like some flaws, the version I'm playing on Steam was a little bit slow because the mouth movement was so unresponsive, especially when it comes to moments when you're being dragged by something and you have to move the mouse to aim, but it's so delayed. But I eventually got it. But for the most part, dude, I love Dead Space. Its atmosphere, the music, the enemies you have to fight by shooting off their limbs instead of just their normal heads like any other shooting games around that time or even nowadays. And the whole like telekinesis where you have to use his abilities to grab on something and throw out the other enemies, especially blades. And you can upgrade them, but by going to the shop to buy like ammo, and you have to like find the knots to upgrade your weapons. Dude, I love it. This one goes to the A-list. As someone who is not particularly a horror fan, because I played very few horror games, like FNAF, Help, Wanted. But now, after playing all the Dead Space games, I gotta say, I'm a Dead Space fan. In fact, I even say that I find Dead Space, like the first 2 games, be scarier way more than the FNAF games, if I'm gonna be honest. And that's coming from someone who's a big FNAF fan. But I just think its later games are just, I don't know, it's starting to lose entrance for me, unfortunately. So yeah, I love Dead Space. Next up, we have Sly 2 Band of Thieves. And man, it's been a while since I even played Sly 2, honestly. I remember liking the first game when it comes to like the stealth mechanics and the platforming and its fun boss fights with a few exceptions. It was a flawed game, but I still had fun. Sly 2, on the other hand, while it does have some fun moments, most of the time it's just like constantly, I don't know, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, giving the game more than just one playable character for you to play, which is nice on paper, and some of them have combat skills than others. But for the most part, it's just a constant back and forth, going to the place where they are, and you have to switch between them two, just to get to a specific mission you have to beat in order to finish the level in general. And most of the minigames are just suck, in my opinion. It feels like I'm playing random Mario Party minigames, but none of them felt good, except for the top-down shooting Galacta Part 1. That one was fine. That one was fun. But for the rest of them, however, they're just either mediocre or just downright terrible, like the tank battle situation. Like, I don't know if it's just me or it could be my autism, but for some reason, games like Sly 2, I don't remember anything good about it except for the moments where I got frustrated, and I only remember parts about that. Again, I don't know if it's just me. It happens a lot with most of these games, with a few exceptions, which I love. So, compared to like Sly 1 with its fun platforming skills, I honestly, I mean, it's not bad. I just find it a bit mid in my opinion, so put it in C tier. And I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to play Sly 3 or 4, aka Thieves in Time. I mean, I might, but I have other plans in the future. Next up, we have Donkey Kong Country Returns, the original version on the Nintendo Wii. I remember having fun with this game as a kid, and I still do. On a casual level, it's a really fun game, and I think it's even more fun if you play with a friend, but I don't have anybody to play with me right now. But the point is, the levels are fun for the most part. There's some fun platforming stuff. Some of the bosses are fun, but though some of them tend to drag out way too long. I think the lamest boss, in my opinion, is definitely the final boss. The Tiki Talk, whenever the fuck it's called, you mostly fight him by avoiding his hands and jumping onto his button hands and eventually his head. It's a very lame boss fight in my opinion. Yeah, on a casual level it's very fun, but I wouldn't really want to complete this game in general because there's a lot of bullshit moments the past games have, which is the ability to retry bonus stages after failing them for the first time. Because in this game, and even in Tropical Freeze on the Wii U, if you fail the bonus stage, you have to literally waste a life just to try again. Well, you better make sure not to pass a checkpoint, otherwise you can't go back. Otherwise you have to restart the whole level just to grab that thing inside the bonus room just to get it right. Whereas previous games on the Super Nintendo back in the 90s, if you beat a stage but missed a few collectibles, you can go back, grab it where you missed in the bonus stages. In those games, you can try again by just going back, with a few exceptions and the minecart stuff. After you get it, you can pause the game, press select, and just leave the level and it's yours forever. And it's really fucking shame that most games nowadays just don't have that feature. I'm done ranting. So I guess... Oh man, this is tough. Yeah, I'll put it like below Dead Space 1. Again, it's still a fun game if you're playing on a casual level, but on a completionist level, it could be a fucking nightmare. Oh, Herbie, you may not like this part. Oh boy, I feel bad for him. Next up, we have Half-Life 1 on Steam. Listen, I'm not particularly a Valve fan. I know Herbie in the chat is, and I know he's playing a lot of Valve games. Meanwhile, I'm just not familiar with most of them. So when I play it for the first time, it's very, you can really tell it's very old and janky in most places. I was talking with my friends while playing it for the first time. Apparently, the control schemes is literally the same as one of those old first-person battle royale games, which is what, Quake or something? And it definitely shows, because when I'm moving slightly slower, he goes way too fast in my opinion. And that, oh god. There's like one moment where you have to like crouch to avoid the tentacle monster because it only hears but not see. But oh my god, trying to use the keypad while using my pinky finger to hold crouch while I'm moving with my other keys, it literally almost gave my pinky finger a cramp. Like every time I do that, it hurts my finger. Oh, I hated that. And you can really tell that I'm mostly familiar with playing games with a goddamn controller and not a keyboard. Like especially when it comes to first-person shooting games. I prefer using a controller over a keyboard, I'm sorry. And oh wow. I couldn't even pass the spider head crab testicle monster because the game wouldn't process of him, like, okay, I'm stuttering. So after you shoot him a couple of times, he goes into the cave, he jumps down, but what is supposed to happen is that you're supposed to jump down and then he crawls away where the giant whip is. So you follow him and you jump down and you shoot him a bunch. But in my version of the game, he jumps down in the cave, but the spider never fucking moves. So the game soft locked me, ended up either wasting my bullets or just like starting a new game or something. Oh god, like I just couldn't beat the whole game. So I just decided to just watch the whole walkthrough with Herbie, just to see what happens if you do. And the ending is kind of cool. You see G-Man and talking all that snaz and what he's... I forget the whole monologue. Again, I'm not too familiar with Valve games or its lore, so leave it up to Herbie Cube in the chat. Yeah, this is really difficult. Again, it's not a bad game. I'm sure it was revolutionary around that time, but like, you know, I never really grew up too much of super old games compared to like the ones from late 90s and early 2000s. So it goes to like, what, C tier? Like, it's an alright game. Like, it can be fun in some moments, like with other shooting games I played, like with Bioshock, but it definitely showed its age. Next up, we have Killzone 2 for the PS3, the only Killzone game I've streamed on my channel. I heard people kept saying that Killzone 2 is the best one in the trilogy before Sony tried to make another one on PS4 and it apparently failed. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Killzone that much, except for the second game because it had Colonel Raddick, which for some reason he's a playable fighter in PlayStation All-Stars. But I'm getting off topic. The game itself. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game to play. Though one critique I have with the game itself, it's a real damn shame that there's no option to turn it off. It's the goddamn motion blur throughout the entire campaign. Like, I swear, it never messed up the missions too much, but whenever you try to do like quick turns or like move slightly to either direction, it always like messes up your visions whenever you're trying to aim your gun at the enemies like behind the barriers or something like that. Like, I hate motion blur in any video game ever. Like Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag 2 or whatever it's called. And both of those games, unfortunately, has the awful motion blur in 60 FPS, and it just looks so distracting because I can't even tell most of the gameplay I saw from other people playing though. Anyway, back to Killzone 2. I mean, Chrono Rag is a fun villain. I mean, he's pretty menacing. I don't know. I have nothing to say. So I put it in, I guess the good tier. I don't know if it's just me, but maybe I'm more of a fan of the Resistance series more than Killzone so far. I feel like the locations in Killzone 2 are just look all very samey to me and super try. Whereas Resistance have some iconic locations. It even takes place in real locations like San Francisco and all that stuff. Whereas Killzone is just gray most of the time. But yeah, it is what it is. Next, we have Ape Escape 1, which I played on PS5. And like with Half-Life 1, it is one of those games that definitely shows its age in my opinion. Like I know like how it controls, the fact that you have to use the triggers to move the camera, it just feels awkward to me. Like it's literally the same camera system that Mario 64 has, but just on PlayStation. And the reason for that is to showcase its DualShock controls, where you have to use the second analog stick to use the net. I wasn't a big fan of the level design, because most of them weren't designed well with its controls that they're trying to implement with its DualShock controller. Especially when it comes to those final levels. Oh my god, they suck so bad. Especially the space one. I remember struggling with that space one just before fighting Spectre. I was livid. Like I wanted to give up, but I know like I never wanted to give up like with some other game. I wanted to beat it, and eventually I did. I do like the premise of the game. The evil monkey released all the monkeys from the zoo. It's trying to take it over its time machine to go back to certain points of history, and the little boy, like a giant net, has to catch them all, and I do like that. Though god damn it, the voice acting is so bad. Like I remember cringing so hard every single time the character speaks on screen whenever it goes to the cutscenes. Cringing so hard that I was covering my face in one of the YouTube shorts I made. It is that bad. Oh my god. Like with Killzone 2, I discovered this series because of PlayStation All-Stars. And I remember as a kid, I even went, damn, the voice acting sucks. Yeah, and it still does, like in my opinion. I'm sorry. Like I don't know. I don't really like it. I do have to give it props for the graphics and some of its sound design and music. So I'll put it, put in between. Because at least Sly 2, it has better control schemes than Ape Escape 1. While Ape Escape has much more colors and much more variety than Half-Life 1. So I'll put it in C tier. Next up, we have SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. Honestly, the whole game is a complete blank for me. I can't even remember a single thing about it, except for its sound moments and its stupid gross out humor, which I'm not a fan of. Like, it reminds me of Flapjack whenever they try to do gross out humor. I've never been a real fan of that. It's a pretty fun game with its fun boss fights, and that's about it as far as I remember. So I guess I'll put in, like, I don't know, good in B tier. Again, I have no memory of it. Next up, we have LittleBigPlanet 1 for the PS3, which I got the Collector's Edition, which includes all the DLC, including the Metal Gear Solid levels, which are fun. As for the game itself, again, much like with SpongeBob Cosmic Shake, much like with SpongeBob Cosmic Shake, I barely remember anything that happened when I first played LittleBigPlanet 1 for the first time. Again, except for the moments where I got frustrated, it always happens to me. Like, again, I don't know, like, it could be only me, or it could be autism thing. I don't know. It always happens. I'm aware that the game gives you like a level creative system where you can create your own levels and set them online, which the service is no longer available, unfortunately, which sucks. When it comes to like games that gives you creative tools to build levels, unfortunately, I'm not a creative person when it comes to designing levels, so most of them would suck. I guess the main game itself is just kind of for me, mainly because of the controls and how it feels. Like, I don't know, it feels kind of slow and awkward to play, especially jumping from the foreground to the background. That always messes me up. This might piss off LittleBigPlanet fans out there, but I don't know, I'm just never a fan of the gameplay itself, mainly because of controls. I put it like below Sly 2. Again, Sly 2 has better controls than LittleBigPlanet 1, at least in my opinion. Next up, we have Pizza Tower, the Noise Edition. Now, some of you are wondering, hey, MusicianNrd, didn't you play this 2 years ago? And yes, that is correct, but I never get to really try out the noise update that came out last year, up until this year, which I finally did. Most of the part, it's just the same game as I really liked before, except now you play as the noise with a whole new moveset. Especially like whenever you run, he rides on a skateboard like he did in his own boss fights. I do have to give it props to the update for like after you beat the game again with the noise, the game unlocks a 2-player co-op game, which I'm definitely looking forward to playing with, probably with Herbie eventually. And not only that, I would love to play this game again with my friend with a bunch of mods that they have online. You know, to replace skins and music and all that stuff. Because since I played it again, I still think Peter Tower is a fun game. Though, much like with Donkey Kong Country Returns, it's another one of those games I wouldn't really care about completing the game itself, because holy hell. Getting all the P ranks looks like a fucking nightmare to get, which I'm not gonna do. I'm not that skilled.
It's Smash Bros. Brawl, the best game of the Nintendo GameCube 2 edition. It goes to the S tier, spectacular. The AI upscale graphics are so wonderful, even for its time on the Wii 2, not the Wii U. It's really awesome. The characters are all just wonderful with its amazing voice lines like the Piece of Tower and
Alright, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop! Alright, in all seriousness though, the Subspace Emissary mode is a pretty underrated mode in my opinion. That I'm sad that Ultimate didn't really do that much. All we got was the world of Lighter, whatever it's called, where it's just spirit battle after spirit battle with a map, eventually unlocking characters. Which is nice, but I prefer more like how Melee and Brawl has like side-scrolling levels before fights. You know what I mean? Though the game does show its age a little bit, especially the whole dumb tripping mechanic, which thank God they got rid of when Smash Bros. 4 and Ultimate came out. They got rid of that gimmick, thank God. And I'm not gonna lie, I am not a big fan of the art style of Brawl. Everyone has that realistic texture on their overalls, or their fur, or their scales, while the rest of the game it just looks pretty out of place for me. Like, I don't know. I prefer the way Ultimate and Melee looks. So I guess high A rank? It's not my favorite Smash game. That honor goes to, I guess Ultimate? I think Ultimate is my favorite one. When it comes to the gameplay. Brawl might be my favorite because of its story mode and how the characters interact to one another in each cutscene, which are all fun. Next up, we have Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted 1. I really like FNAF VR Help Wanted. The main premise of the whole thing, it's a glorified minigame collection, but each one represents, I guess, 3 or 4 different FNAF games, from FNAF 1 to 4, where you go from night to night, looking at the cameras, pushing the buttons, winding up the music box, fix the ventilation system, check the door hallway in the child's room to avoid the animatronics. There's even some new ones where you have to do parts and service, just fixing up your animatronics or fixing up the ventilation system while trying to avoid Mango or Annard. Plus, the Halloween edition adds even more minigames where you're on the pirate ship shooting targets with your gun, hosted by Foxy, or even go to the corn maze, which scared the shit out of me the first time I played this. There's also some cassette tapes which you have to find within the levels themselves to unlock the final one, Party Night, or whatever it's called. Help Wanted, A tier. For its minigames and its collectibles, which you have to look outside of the box, which is cool. Next up, we have Bayonetta 3 for the Nintendo Switch 1. Much like with the previous Bayonetta games, it's just as fun as it was before. Some clever combos, of which sometimes I'm able to perform, others I can't because I'm not that skilled with combos. But it's still a fun game overall. They added a new character, which is Fiola, which to me, he feels like a Devil May Cry character, which she may be the least fun character to play as, in my opinion. Oh yeah, completely forgot. What's her name? Sean or whatever? Her mission just involves a side-scrolling stealth section, which, yeah, they're fine for what they are. I mean, they function very well. Though some parts I did struggle a little bit, but eventually I beat it. They're just kind of whatever. Though the weakest part about Bayonetta 3, in my opinion, it's definitely the story mode. Just the story in general, where it's all about the dimension shenanigans happening. I didn't really care about that aspect. And the villain twist is so fucking obvious that I didn't want to think about it too much. Although I think some of its music are actually really good. Bayonetta 3, pretty good game, but very disappointing story overall. So A tier. It's not a perfect game. Next up, we have Sonic Riders. And I don't know, I feel like people in the comments will get mad at me for being like, oh, you're just bad, lol, you just suck at it. But like, listen. I never grew up with the Sonic Riders. I never even got a chance to play them myself when I was a kid, or whenever they first came out. For the first Rider games, it's sort of an alright for racing game. The earlier racetracks, they're fine. The drift runs on air, but it's tolerable, despite its moments where some turns in some tracks are too sharp for some characters. Some turn too wide, some turn too sharp. It really depends on the character and track. It's kind of inconsistent in my opinion. And the trick system, well, cool, but most of the time I was just like moving around with the joystick randomly a bunch of times until I eventually got some ranks. Some of them I got even an S rank for the like complete accident. I was like, yo, that was an accident, that was cool. But that's it. But I feel like the later racetracks definitely showed its age when it comes to like controls. Especially Sky Road as Wave in the Babylon story mode. I struggled with that mission so many times. It took me over an hour to finish it. After retry, messing it up, trying to nail it but failed miserably, I eventually got it. And I beat the whole thing. And the final boss is just kind of lame. You just go through the genie's, pot or whatever, like 3 times in 3 laps. And that's it, that's the whole boss. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely better than its sequels, I'll give it that. But for a racing game, it's not one of those I would go back and play with my friends or my siblings. I don't know. Not my game. No, oh wait, I forgot to talk about it. The music in Sonic Riders, woo! Peak music right there. That ended up being one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. Sonic Riders soundtrack, it's what inspires me to make some of my own original songs. Sonic Riders 1 goes to C tier, unfortunately. Like, I really want to like it, but like, whenever I played it, it kind of showed its age, just a bit. Next up, we have Sonic Riders Zero Gravity on the Nintendo Wii. And it is an immediate downgrade in my opinion. The gameplay is simple and it's like way slower than its first one, but I really don't like the gravity mechanic where they basically replace the basic drift mechanic from the first one and instead replace it with the gravity drift. But we have to awkwardly turn your character around just before letting go of the button for your character to just forward dive into whatever direction you're trying to go. But most of the time, every time I try to use it, I always ended up bumping into the walls or turn really slow, which prevents me to go in the right direction I want to go, and that really sucks. Oh god, and this stupid ring upgrade system is so stupid too. When I first played the hero side of the story, as Sonic, you know, he's known for grinding on rails. I couldn't do it for some reason. Up until the chat pointed out, you're supposed to collect rings to upgrade your extreme gear before you can grind on rails. And it's just like, okay, I'm not a fan of that idea. It's really stupid. Same thing goes for the other characters that's known for their basic abilities like flight and power. You have to upgrade those as well after collecting rings in each track. It's so stupid. I'm not a fan of that. So because of that, it goes to the lower C tier in my opinion. To me, it's just a disappointing sequel compared to even the first one. The controls in Zero Gravity are my favorite. Yeah, I agree. I prefer the first game's controls, despite how janky it is. While I love the first Riders soundtrack a lot, like in every track, while there's some good songs in Zero Gravity, most of them are just filled with 4-kits, meaty score of orchestra generic shit in my opinion. Especially in the cutscenes, they don't sound that good to me, they just sound cheap. They literally sound something straight from a 4-kits dub. But yeah, that's Zero Gravity in a nutshell. I mean, it's not terrible, but not as terrible as the next game I'm going to talk about. Sonic 3 Riders. Oh boy, where do I even begin with this one? First off, the gameplay sucks massive dick. Free Riders is a whole other level of bad, like when it comes to the gameplay, which is the most important aspect of any fucking video game ever. When your controls are that unresponsive, then it just makes it the worst experience in my opinion. Every movement you do just feels so unresponsive and very awkward to play. And if you play this game for like 4 hours, your entire body will sweat like a fucking waterfall. I swear to God. If you want to watch my entire experience playing that game, you can check out my stream. Each time step is its own separate mission I play. When you side scroll like the beginning part just to see how I look, and then side scroll at the very end of the stream, you'll notice how shiny I look because I was sweating the entire time. It is that bad of a game. This story is just a PowerPoint presentation where there's a picture of a character, moves, simple basic fade-ins effects of characters changing motions depending on the dialogue in the game. And the whole story is just so stupid. Dr. Eggman dressed up as quote-unquote King Doc, and nobody in the fucking team starts to suspect this King Doc character to be Eggman until the very end where he reveals itself to be the final race. But oh no, wait, there's more! Turns out that blue robot that's with the Team Dark team, there was secretly Metal Sonic in disguise. Oh, who could have seen that coming? Just some random fucking robot. Not Omega, mind you. Oh god. That whole game is a shit show. Though I will give some credits for its decent amount of songs in the actual tracks, and the game finally has actual different items that you can use to your advantage in the race. Again, those good aspects, that doesn't make the whole game good in my opinion, because the gameplay sucks ass. This is the first one to receive a downright D rank in my opinion. I can't give it an E rank. There's some good aspects of it, but the whole gameplay is just a miserable experience, and I would not recommend playing it if you have a Connect or even have one at all. No offense to those who have it as collectors or whatever. I'm not a collector. I just like to play games out of curiosity. Next up, we have No Straight Roads, which is a combat-based rhythm game way before Hi-Fi Rush came out. I know some of you are wondering, wait, MusicianNrd, you never beaten this game, so therefore it shouldn't be included. Well, here's the thing, folks. I tried playing the PS4 version of the game. I mean, there's nothing... I mean, I feel like it does have something to do with the game itself, because it's so poorly optimized. Because I try to play the PS4 version on my PS5, and whenever I get to a specific point where the characters are looking at the TV of some company, the game will constantly crash at that exact scene every time, preventing me from playing the game. So because of that, I had to use an Xbox One and play the Xbox One version instead, and it doesn't crash for me. Though it does have some moments where the cutscenes will randomly slow down its animation, but where the audio is playing clear. But other than that, it was tolerable, despite its hiccups. As for the gameplay itself, it's really unfortunate for me to say that I'm just not a fan of it. What I love about Hi-Fi Rush so much is that the movements and the AI of the enemies moving around and the buttons you press are all synced up to the beat of whatever song is playing in the background, which makes it feel so satisfying to fight against enemies and bosses. While in No Straight Roads, the enemies and the music are synced up except for your character's movements. Like, why? Like, whenever I start moving, they're not synced in with whatever song is playing in the background, which always throws me off whenever I'm doing platforming or just basic moving around just to avoid enemies or even dodging. So because of that movement not being synced with any music, it makes the levels and boss fights feel clunky and awkward to play in my opinion. Though I will say, half of its soundtrack of being like EDM, I mean that's the whole point of the game. The characters are trying to beat the EDM artists to bring rock back or whatever, which I do love that story. I watched the rest of the cutscenes and the story is really good. And the EDM music, woo! Peaks music right there. Although, unfortunately, I do have something to share. So, after I streamed the first part of No Straight Roads, I got claimed by a bunch of songs from that game, with a few exceptions, which I'm glad. Versus Sayu song didn't get me claimed, which ended up being one of my favorite songs of all time. But for the other songs, yeah, they unfortunately got me claimed for some fucking reason. Even though there's a tweet from the official developers on Twitter saying that the game is free to stream with its music, but YouTube is still strict about that for some reason. Like, how does that work? Like, It frustrates me so much, like I didn't want to continue the rest of the game because of that. The same thing with Epic Mickey, with its music that got me claimed. But the difference being is that I think No Straight Roads has better music than Epic Mickey. I'll put it above Ape Escape 1 because it has better music than Ape Escape 1. While Ape Escape has some decent music, most of the time they're mostly repetitive in my opinion. Next up, we have Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing 1. Yeah, it's a really fun game. I even go as far as to say that I prefer the Sonic All-Stars Racing games more than Sonic Riders, the series themselves. Like, I'm sorry, like I prefer playing proper kart racing games over the ones that looks either complicated or just feels too fast in my opinion, like with F-Zero for example. Well, this game, it is sort of basic when it comes to like the track designs and its character roster and its selection of music, but I don't know, I still really like the game for what it is, for a basic kart racing game. Next up, we have Punch-Out on a Nintendo Wii. I absolutely really like this game a lot. Ever since I got suggested from one of my friends on Discord, I knew that I wanted this game to be streamed this year. And yeah, I think it still holds up to this day when it comes to like the controls, the graphics of the game, especially with its character models being cel-shaded. And its music, even though I didn't technically beat the game, I've only played the first mode of the game before you unlock Contender mode or whatever it's called. I mean, I might give that mode a shot, but for now, like I said earlier, I have plans for next year. But for now, this was a really fun game to try out for the first time. Next up, we have Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform. I mean, you know me. I mean, what else can I say? S tier. S for spectacular. And I ain't talking about Spectacular Spider-Man, which I did grow up watching. I love that show. The Transform is basically like, what if we took elements that worked in the first game, but try to expand upon it with its transforming mechanic, transforming it to a boat and eventually a plane on the air. I was gonna say that this was the first to do that, but I've realized, no, Diddy Kong Racing sort of did that thing first, just before Transformed. And I really want to give that game a shot someday. Compared to like the first racing game, this was super fun to play. The track designs, the graphics, its remixes of classic songs, and even some of its new music, they're all great by the way. Though it does have a weird roster, depending on the version you have. Because in my version on Steam, it had Team Fortress characters. The roster is very wacky when it comes to selection of characters. Yeah, besides that, the Grand Prix, the mission modes, like, they're all great. Like, I absolutely love this game. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same thing with its next game, Team Sonic Racing. I mean, gameplay-wise, it's fun if you just, like, ignore everything else that's flawed. Though they decided to add like team mechanics, which you have to help out your partners, give out rings to take out other racers in their team, which is fine on its own, but honestly, it just feels half-assed in my opinion. I wasn't a big fan of the team mechanic. I didn't even bother going through the story mode because I remember watching Sam Procrastinates playing that game for the first time through its story mode and like go for mission after mission, which is literally the same missions from Transformed. We're just with a different reskin. Unfortunately, in the cutscenes, much like Free Riders, they're all just like PNGs of characters with text at the bottom, with like different renders based on their emotions, depending on the dialogue. It is so lazy. And the whole story, there's something suspicious about that Don Pa person. Is he working with Eggman? Is he not? Ooh, but wait, what if he's friendly? Oh wait, what if he's... Oh, it's so stupid. I give it a C rank. Mid. Team Sonic Racing over Zero Gravity. I'm sorry, I just don't like the gameplay that much. While Team Sonic Racing has the worst story mode, I just think the gameplay is just overall better. I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan of the gravity shifting mechanic in Zero Gravity compared to the first Riders game, where it had the basic drift mechanic, but it plays better. Next, we got into my favorite game series, Donkey Kong Country, starting off with the first game. And yeah, already in A tier. I played this version and the Super Nintendo version on my Wii's Virtual Console this year with my friend when we're doing co-op. I still think it's a fun game. It's aged incredibly well, in my opinion. With its platforming, the graphics, the music, the sound design of its noise from the Kremlings if you jump on them. The minecart levels are fun, but a little bit tricky. The bonus rooms are fun, even some of them can be pretty obscure if you don't know where they are, especially by destroying random walls. But in the GBA version, they made him look breakable by its new textures, which is really appreciated. The GBA version had some new minigames which you can mess around to get extra lives if you're struggling with some levels, which are a nice change of pace. yeah, that's why I think that Donkey Kong Country 1 on GBA deserves an A tier. It's a shame that not a lot of people talked about these versions of the game, because I think they're incredibly underrated in my opinion. Next up, we have Donkey Kong Country 2. Yeah, already. Whenever I go through some songs or games that I would love to rank, you already know that I already have an instant thought of, yep, this one's going up there, or this one's going down. It really depends. But damn, dude, I really love Donkey Kong Country 2 over the first one, because its level variety of taking place in the Crocodile Isle is so good. The carnival nights inside of a beehive, the haunted mansion, the pirate ship where it's like raining. There's so many different and iconic locations that everybody loves to go back and play. And its music, oh god. Again, it's one of those games that ended up having one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. And I'm glad that Tropical Freeze has some of its songs being remixed in that game. Much like with the first one, the GBA version is a pretty solid version with its ability to save in any moment with the pause menu. The minigames are kind of decent with the, I guess, except for the helicopter one. I think that one's probably the weakest one in my opinion. But other than that, just the game itself, Donkey Kong Country 2, it's still one of my favorites of all time. Next up, we have Donkey Kong Country 3 on GBA. I know it's my friend's favorite one in the trilogy, but I always thought the second one's my favorite in the trilogy, and I always thought the third one's my least favorite one when it comes to its random locations, the level design in the later half of the game where it becomes extremely obvious where the game got rushed in development hell in its Super Nintendo's life cycle, because it came out in the same year the Nintendo 64 came out, where everybody's interested in the 3D games, and not a lot of people play this one. While the minecart sections in the first two games are really fun and challenging, the bobsled, on the other hand, they're the most annoying shit I've ever played in my life. And especially in the Super Nintendo original, where it goes so fast, your jumps are super low, and it's because you're going fast, it makes it impossible to see a bunch of shit off screen. I mean, it's still a fun game on its own, I guess, but I'm personally not a huge fan of it, like when it comes to like the aesthetics of the game. Though I will say, the GBA's version of the soundtrack of DKC3 is way better than its Super Nintendo version. Like, I will stand by that until the end of time. DKC3 B tier. Next up, we have Donkey Kong Jungle Beat on the Wii. Ignore the fact that it says the GameCube. I mean, it may be a basic for a game like this. I still had a fun time, especially on its Wii version. It has some fun side-scrolling levels if you use the controls properly, I guess. I'm not sure how to describe it. Like, it feels like a fun minigame collection. Like, it's weird to describe it. Like, you go from 2 levels, then you go to one of its boss fight. One of its is like a pre-Punch-Out Wii-esque boss fight. And one of them is a side-scrolling boss fight. And, I mean, that's basically it. Next up, we have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on the Nintendo Switch 1, featuring Funky Mode. I think I like this more than Returns, like when it comes to the level themes in each world you go to. Somewhere that what looks like Africa, some take place in the sky, somewhere in the ocean, finally an underwater level in the Donkey Kong games. Because Returns didn't have any of that, while Tropical Freeze does, and they're fun in their own right. I don't know why they gave the characters unable to breathe underwater infinitely without using bubbles, except for Funky Kong for some reason. But whatever, they're decent underwater levels. And the music, again, another great video game soundtrack of all time that I ended up using it, and sometimes I listen to it on my YouTube music playlist. Though, much like with Returns, it's another one of those games where it just ignores the basic feature from the old games, where if you fail the bonus room, you have to lose a life just to try again, because you can't go back after failing it, which is the main reason why I never want to try to complete this game. In a nutshell, but because of that stupid logic. But yeah, Tropical Freeze goes to the 8 tier for being great for the most part. Next up, we have Half-Life 2. And if you're wondering, are you gonna play the episode 1 and 2? Probably not. And the reason why is because while I think Half-Life 2 is way more fun than the first one, while it looks better than the first one, like far none, especially for a 2004 game. Though it does make some puzzles in some areas a bit hard to see or harder for me to tell where I'm going because everything just looks so bleak. Much like with Killzone too, but to a lesser extent. I'll probably put above No Straight Roads. No, yeah, I'll put it like high C because the controls better. You have new weapons. Some story beats are interesting, I guess. Again, I never really follow up on the lore of Valve games, in my opinion. I wish I had more to say, but again, I'm not much of a Valve fan. Next up, we have Rayman Rabbids on Nintendo Wii. Despite its game being infamous for having the most offensive, worst costume design for Rayman to make him look like a gangster, and for having the most horrible cultural appropriation of Indian people for the Rabbids, it's a pretty good minigame collection, I will say. I mean, it does have some flaws, and this is a game that unfortunately damages the Rayman franchise to being a glorified minigame collection, having very little to do with the Rayman IP itself, because they mainly focus on the Rabbids themselves, which honestly, oh god. I remember as a kid, I remember liking the Rabbids for looking a little quirky and funny, but over the time I've grown up, I just thought, oh man, they are literally the minions of the Rayman franchise, and not in a good way in my opinion. It's one of those mascots where they just try to add a bunch of them just to sell toys or try to make more games of them. And yeah, no, I don't even like the Rabbids anymore because of that. They just suck as mascots. Probably around 8 tier. Next up, we have Rayman Rabbids 2 on the Nintendo Wii. I mean, it's a minigame collection, alright, much like the first one, but I feel like some of them minigames are just a bit of a downgrade in my opinion. It does have the better rhythm-based minigame where you have to use the Wiimote nunchuck after choosing one of its instruments from the random fictional band. And it does have a nice selection of songs. Oh yeah, one of my favorite minigame genre of these games is the plunger shooter segments. In the first game, you mainly play as Rayman. Using the Wiimote feels satisfying, and then you had the ability to press Z to use Rayman's hand, which is connected by a chain for some reason, to grab one of the Rabbids and just throwing out the other ones to get extra points, which sadly the second game just completely removes and makes them very easy because you have unlimited lives for some reason. While in the first game, you do have a limited amount of lives. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't like the presentation of the second game's plunger shooter segments because it's just literally a recorded footage of real-life locations with a camera, just placing the character models running in place, and it looks very jarring in my opinion. Like, it just looks worse than the segments in the first game. But yeah, I'm done ranting. I guess B tier. I mean, it's fun for the most part. I wouldn't recommend it. Next up, we have Rayman Rabbids TV Party, also on the Nintendo Wii. I think it's the best one of the Rayman Rabbids trilogy in my opinion. This one has like the best minigames because of its controls, and most of them feel really good. And while the plunger shooting segments, while you still have unlimited lives, it does have a really unique idea of shooting specific Rabbids rather than all of them, because it takes place in a movie set where the actors are trying to act their roles. Meanwhile, some random person is trying to ruin the whole movie in a different costume, and it's your job to shoot at them with your plunger, and you have to reload it, which is such a cool idea. And much like the second game, it does bring back the rhythm-based mini-games with a selection of instruments you can play, including singing. And let me just say, this game, while some of them has licensed music, to me, TV Party has some of the best selection of licensed music I have ever heard in my life. Mainly one of the reasons why I grew up with most pop music at that time. Especially one of my favorite Britney Spears songs, Toxic. And again, I don't care what anybody thinks about some of those songs, and I will die on a hill. TV Party, definitely around 8 tier, higher than first one, but definitely lower than Brawl. Next up, we have Rayman Redemption, the fan-made remake of the first game. I do have to take an apology for playing this on classic difficulty, because I didn't think the game would be that cruel if you lost all of your lives in any point of the stage. Because, like, for example, if you go through like the third act of the level, but lose all of your lives, and if you continue, you have to start all the way to the first act all over again, which is kind of my fault on that part, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of the gameplay itself. While it does look very pretty with its art style and its cartoony aesthetics and some of its beautiful whimsical music, the gameplay feels so slow and stiff most of the time. though I will give props for adding a run button on the right trigger. While I never played the original version on PS1 or whatever, I do like this version's of simpler but more forgiving boss fights compared to how it was before. I guess for this specific version of Rayman 1, I guess I'll put it above Half-Life 2 in C tier. Again, I'm glad that the developers went out of their way to make a version of the game that's accessible for anybody who has or hasn't experienced Rayman 1 for the first time, and it's a plus. Next up, we have Donkey Kong Bananza on the Switch 2, and holy mother of banana gods of heaven, I absolutely fucking love Bananza so much. When I first played it, I was worried that it was just gonna be a button masher while occasionally breaking through walls and shit. But no, it's more than that. And its story, it's just so compelling and interesting to watch. Seeing younger version of Pauline going through the adventure with DK. As you come across other side characters you can interact with, bosses that you have to fight from the Void Company, some are not from the Void Company, and it's not just the boss fights I adore so much. The control schemes, I'm surprised that they managed to pull off the rolling mechanic off the cliff and then jump in the air mechanic from the classic Super Nintendo games really well, and it feels so satisfying, especially if you have the Bananza forms. After doing that move, like you can use it to your advantage to get to higher places to get more bananas, and occasionally use those bananas you've earned to level up your form's abilities and sometimes just DK's skills. And the whole game just looks absolutely spectacular. And I gotta say, I really like the new DK's design in this game way more. When I first saw it in Mario Kart World from the first teaser, he looked a little bit off when they tried to redesign it, but the moment the game came out, the more I look at him, he looks fine. But now he just looks even better in his new game on the Switch too. That's why Bananza goes to the S rank tier for spectacular. Next up we have Mario Kart World. I mean, it's a fine game. I don't know what you want to say. Actually, I put it below Rabbids too. It's a fun game on its own, but I'm not a fan of the fact that its roster is just filled with random ass fucking enemies from the series, like the Goombas and the bats. The way to unlock most of these riders is just so stupid. You have to use the Kamek item to get it, and you want to bother getting every character in the game. While the driving on the ground is fine on its own, driving on water is a whole other level because it feels like I'm on ice when driving on water compared to Transformed and even CrossWorlds. I feel like most of these water segments are all slippery and awkward. And the new trick system where you can drive on the wall and jump off from it and do a trick, I'm not used to that. Like, I can't really get used to that system in my opinion. I guess middle B tier for good. Next up we have Rayman Rabbids GBA version. And oh man, what am I? Oh god. Like, I wanted to like this game. I really did. Because from what I remember, it's one of those versions where it's not a minigame collection. It's actually something that they had concept of, like a whole new Rayman 4 experience where you fight off against Rabbids, like level to level stuff. And this GBA version has that, where it's a side-scrolling level, like Rayman 1, except you fight Rabbids in different locations, from a jail cell to like familiar locations from Rayman 1. But sorry to my friend who is probably watching this right now, who says this was their favorite GBA game. I apologize. If you love it, that's fantastic. I will never ever say anything against you, preventing you from playing it. I'm personally just not a fan of the GBA version, not only because I never grew up with it, but its gameplay is just so slow, even compared to Rayman 1. While the sprite work does look very nice, they are way too big for the size of the GBA screen for you to even see, even if you move super slow. In Rayman 1, at least from the version I experienced, add a goddamn running button for you to run through segments of where it's supposed to be a chase segment, whereas the GBA Rabbids game, on the other hand, does not have a run button. But what it does have is the most extremely situational costume power-ups I have ever seen. The racist gangster power-up lets you ground pound. The grandma one lets you not only walk through gates that are not accessed by Rayman, but only accessed by grandma, but also throws out carrots as a distraction. It's never that useful except for like one boss fight, and that's it. The Pong costume lets you spit gum at logs for you to jump on. Elvis costume lets you use the guitar to push things, and that's it. Not only are they extremely situational, but the movement in all these costumes are very limited. You can't double jump, you can't glide, you can't attack at all. That's why they all suck. Also, some of the yellow fairy requirements just kicked me in the balls the first time I played it, because I did not expect it to be that strict. because you have to get most of them to unlock bosses in each world. And most of the bosses are pretty clunky, and some attacks are just, I don't know. Those Mario Kart Super Circuit-esque levels, which you have to drive through, oh god. Not only do they look awful on GBA, but they're really bad to play too. You turn really super slow, and you can't drift at all. Oh god, the music. Oh no, the music. Well, it does has a really decent boss music for all the bosses. The rest of the game's soundtrack is just so irreparably bad that it actively made me want to mute the entire game's soundtrack in general. I remember the part where I got to the 4th world. This whole one fucking song was hurting my ears. I had to turn it off and play my own music. Like, it's that bad. I'm sorry. I just don't like this version at all. This might be the first game to be in A tier, specifically the GBA version. The Wii version, while just a media game collection, most of them are pretty fun. Depends on the version you play. This version, on the other hand, while it being an entirely different game and not a media game collection, just feels awful to play in my opinion. Like, I'm sorry. Ugh. I'm done. Next up, we have finally a good game, is Rayman Legends. This one goes to the A tier in my opinion. It's a very fun platforming game. The whole game just looks absolutely fantastic. Being an illustration art style, the platforming, the fun challenges, the amount of costumes you can unlock by getting all the yellow fairies. To me, the best part about this game is the rhythm-based levels by its selection of songs. Really satisfying to pull off if you know what you're doing. I'm a musician myself, but I appreciate when the games has small selection of rhythm-based songs. So yeah, A tier. I really like it. I don't care what anybody thinks. Next up, we have Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. I gotta say, it's still really fun game in my opinion. To me, CrossWorlds is like a second close favorite racing game. The first one being Transformed, and I appreciate this game keeping the gameplay just as fun as it was in Transformed in the first racing game. The game looks fantastic as usual, and I appreciate the game not having a single story mode. It's just a Grand Prix with a side mode like race part where you can race in teams, which is separate by the way, which thank god. And its selection of roster is way better than Team Sonic Racing. Finally, we get other Sega IP characters, Persona, Yakuza, Knights, Super Monkey Ball, the list goes on. Though they have some random ones too, like Pac-Man, Spongebob, and fucking Minecraft. But I ain't complaining. It's just a minor thing I find weird about it. And its music, well, mostly good, while the other half of the soundtrack is just very boring in my opinion. That doesn't stop me from having fun in CrossWorlds in my opinion. Probably like right next to Bayonetta 3, because they're both great games in my opinion. Next up, we have Pac-Man World 2 on the GameCube. I almost like Game Boy. And yeah, it's definitely a 3D platformer. I don't remember too much of it, unfortunately. Like, it could be fun in the first half, but then the later half definitely shows its age when it comes to the mechanics and the controls just a little bit. The optional maze segment is pretty fun. Again, calls back to classic Pac-Man arcade stuff. Some other part of the game, like the underwater segments, are really slow and unfun to play, especially the submarine segment, where it feels like a fucking long road trip slog, in my opinion. Oh god, Spooky Island. While it does have amazing music, the level design is so stressful. No. One of the levels in Spooky Island, where it feels like a fucking maze segment. That part sucks in Spooky Island. I never liked that. Much like with LittleBigPlanet, I really don't have anything much else to say. I guess higher C tier? I mean, it's a standard platformer. I mean, I'm glad it's got its remake. Next up, we have Super Mario Galaxy 1. I mean, you know me. Like, what else do you want me to say? It is a fantastic 3D Mario game. Like, no doubt about it. The presentation, the graphics, the music, the level design, its controls, everything about it, except with the Spring Mario, is so well handcrafted in any other way. I'm like out of words just how good it feels to play that game for the first time. And same thing with its sequel, Mario Galaxy 2. Might be controversial for some people, but I might put it above the first game, even though they're both fantastic games. I just like the second game's level design and its inclusion of Yoshi. Though it does have a weaker story compared to the first game, the second game has a lot more variety when it comes to level themes, just a bit, even though the first game does have some fantastic level themes. And the music is just as good as the first one, as always, really cinematic while being whimsical at the same time, it being space themed. They're all fantastic. If you haven't played a 3D platformer before, I would highly recommend the Galaxy games. They're so good. Next up, we have Dead Space 2. It's really funny to me. I jumped from Mario Galaxy to Dead Space again, because both games takes place in space, where one is really colorful, whimsical, meanwhile Dead Space is more horrifying and deadly. It's really funny to me. But yeah, Dead Space 2 is great. I love it. It's one of my favorite horror games of all time. Better than the first one when it comes to the level design and such. And what makes it more creepy to me, which is a good thing by the way, is the horror and the atmosphere of some of the later levels. What I remember the most of Dead Space 2 is the introduction of the alien kids and babies. So Dead Space 2 goes to the S tier, being again scarier than FNAF in my opinion. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing with the next one, Dead Space 3, the most disappointing one I've ever played in my life. While the gameplay is standard, the horror aspect of its atmosphere is just gone in my opinion. It's more of an action game now. To me, Dead Space 3 just feels like Resident Evil 6 of the Dead Space franchise, where it's more action-packed with its stupid amount of moments where the character goes to like a dramatic... no, it's not good. I mean, there's like a few parts that scared me in the latter half of the game, where they introduce a new fast enemy, which they have like unhinged human movement, where you have to shoot them quickly before they run towards you in the most uncomfortable way. That's like the only good horror aspect of it. The rest of it is just very whatever. It's not scary. And I don't even care about its fucking story. It's just one of those generic space-themed movies, in my opinion. But put it like below Sly 2, because Sly 2 has better character interactions than Dead Space 3, in my opinion. Next up, we have Mario Super Sluggers. I mean, it's baseball. It's definitely a sports game. Damn it, it's another one of those games I don't have anything to talk about. Except for its basic overworld aspect, where you basically move around in each stadium, interacting with characters and finding some puzzles. Most of them are pretty simple. The main game, kind of basic, it's pretty fun. Put it like below B tier. I mean, it's fun on its own. I do like it. I do love its music, by the way. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Next up, we have Nights into Dreams. It's alright. It's a fine game on its own. I do appreciate the aesthetics and the music a little bit. I was never a fan of the gameplay loop of going around in circles. You're trying to get enough points to destroy each of the dreams pod segment before getting into each world boss. Some of the bosses are sort of basic and some of them are whatever. It's an alright experience. It's a fine game on its own. Next up, we have Crazy Taxi. Yep, despite being a sort of arcade game, I have a lot of fun with this one. The version I have, it does have a separate mode where you have to do like missions, and they're like the most strict missions I've ever played in a video game, because they require you to be actually good at the game, and it's weird tips of which the game doesn't tell you. B tier, I think it's fun. And here we are, the final game of this year that I've streamed, which is Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD version, specifically. I did have fun with this one. This is literally the first Super Monkey Ball game I've ever played in my life. Some levels were fun, and some others are pretty difficult in some places. One of them can be really annoying. Though what this game has to add are the boss fights, and yeah, they're not good, in my opinion. The whole idea of Super Monkey Ball is that you're controlling the whole stage, not your character, and you have to balance your character, tilting the stage itself to get to the goal. But in boss fights, it's the same idea as beating the objective, except you have to awkwardly avoid projectiles, boss patterns, and you have to hit them in their specific spots. Some bosses are easier, most of them are just straight up super annoying, like the octopus one, and that final boss took me over an hour to beat because of its ridiculous big huge hitboxes whenever he's like spinning around trying to hit me off. Wait, that sounds wrong. Ignore that. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, probably like around B tier, right next to Sonic All-Stars Racing 1 and Rayman Rabbids 2 or something. We're finally done with the video game stuff. I'm really proud of most of my choices. Now we're gonna move on to the movies segment of this stream, which unfortunately I've watched very little movies this year, because I feel like most of them didn't really interest me in the slightest, with a few exceptions. Captain America New Brave Hero or whatever it's called, it's about as generic as a Marvel movie you can ever get. Like, I feel nothing. Thunderbolts, same here, another generic Marvel movie, an average Marvel movie you can ever get. Final Destination Bloodlines. I was not prepared for this one, honestly. For the longest time, when I've heard the name Final Destination, not only do I think of a Smash Bros. Stage, I always thought it was like a movie series where some people has to fight to the death or something, like a fighting movie. That's what I thought of when it comes to Final Destination. But I was completely wrong. I was not expecting what I was about to watch. Like literally from the beginning of the movie and then throughout the whole thing, it was nothing but a accidental death bloodbath nightmare. I don't know if it's just me, but like, I'm fine with watching scenes where the character kills another character in different ways, with the exception of doing something horrible with their necks. That I'm not comfortable with. But for the most part, death by another character is fine by me. But watching movies with accidental deaths, I can't watch that shit. No, please stop. But I will say, the movie is actually really good, despite me having a fear of accidental deaths. Let's just move on. B tier, good movie, but I wouldn't watch it again, or its previous movies. I can't handle that shit. New Lilo and Stitch. I've only watched this because my girlfriend wanted to watch it with me, which was a fun time to watch with her, but I don't like the movie in general. Like, I prefer the original one, like, bar none. Like, no contest, no questions asked. Moving on. Next up, we have the new Jurassic World movie. No, it's boring. I always prefer to watch the first Jurassic Park movie. The new ones I couldn't really care for, to be honest. Next up, we have Predator Badlands, or whatever it's called. I mean, I could be wrong by like the Predator community. Oh, wait, that sounds wrong. I meant like the Predator franchise community. I could be wrong about having this opinion, but I think it's a good movie. For what it is, like it expands on the universe of the Predator franchise pretty well with its new characters or whatever. I do like it, and some of its actions are really fun to watch. You already know where I'm gonna put it. I mean, what can I say? What can I fucking say? I fucking love Kpop Demon Hunters so much. When I first saw like the trailer of it, I thought it looked fantastic, that it looked fun to watch. And it's made by the same studio that's behind the Spider-Verse movies and all the other movies they worked on. When the movie initially came out on Netflix, I saw the whole thing and I was super impressed by the entire thing. From its presentation, the animations, its characters writing the story, and its fucking songs they made for the movie. It is so good. So much so that I even went out of my way to buy merchandise for myself by buying this t-shirt of the Huntrix and buying a literal poster of the Huntrix themselves of the album Golden. I mean, you can barely see it, it's like far away. But yeah, that's how much you know I love this fucking movie in general. I don't care what some people say. My only nitpick with it is that we didn't get to see too much of the Sacho boys except for the main one. But you know what? I don't give a fuck! Genu, I think that's his name, right? Genu, coming from a straight man, is the hottest man I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, I get it. He's very attractive, and the girls in the movie gets it too. Like, he's amazing. I've always loved pop music since I was born, but recently I started getting into more of K-pop songs. Not because I just watched this movie, but I've heard some other songs like Strategy from some K-pop band. I can't remember its name. I love that song before I saw this movie, and I'm like, yep. I'm into K-pop songs now. I don't care. S tier. S for spectacular. Spectacular Demon Hunters. Whew. All right. And that's it. Everything I have to list up in my tier list. From its video games to some movies. This has been a pretty wild year when it comes to a variety of different games I get to play for the first time. Especially experiencing the Galaxy games for the first time since 2 decades since they came out. Thank you everyone for tuning in for this weird of a stream. And I'll see you all next year, baby. Peace.